Konnichiwa, my name is Sakura. You're watching PokeCast. Today's collection is going to be on my Nintendo 64 Collection. I am excited to show you guys what I have. I have a couple games that I'm really proud to have in the collection, so it will be a lot of fun to just show off what I was able to get, and definitely one system I'm going to try and get more games for, especially Japanese games, because there's a lot of amazing ones that only came out in Japan. Lucky us. As always, I like to start off with showing off which system I actually have, and I was lucky enough to get the limited edition Pokemon one. It doesn't have a box, unfortunately, and it's missing its top thing, but hey, I'm not gonna complain. It works perfectly, and I couldn't be happier because this was the one version of the system I really wanted. Up next, we have the three accessories that I want to talk about. First one is the mic adapter for Hey You Pikachu. This is a fun little thing. I unfortunately don't have the mic that goes along with it, but here's the interesting thing. You cannot use this, the American one, on the Japanese Hey You Pikachu, so you actually have to get one for that for enable for it to work. Weird, yes, but hey, that's how it works. The Game Shark is a nice little thing to have, just to do a couple things with it, but I do recommend to be very careful about what type of code you use, because it could destroy your game, so be very careful when using this. The last one is my adapter. This basically makes my system free range, or region free, I should say, free range, wow. That way I can just plug it in, and then it will take any of my games without having to mod the system or mod the cartridge. Alright, we'll be starting off with the box copies, of course. I should have mentioned that this is another one of my collections that I don't care about getting loose cartridges, due to the fact that the price just goes from like $5 to like, you know, things I don't like to consider. So the first game, of course, is Castlevania 64. This is an amazing game. One of the games I highly recommend anybody to give it a try. You got 2 storylines to go through, and a nice little tip: do not play this game on easy mode. The game will literally only let you go out 50% of the game, and then will tell you, why don't you come back and play this on a harder difficulty? I found that out the hard way. Next one is Derby Stallion 64. It's a horse racing game. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know how well it is, but happy to have it. I love my horse games. Next we have Itoi Shigesato no Bass Suri number 1 Kitaiban. It is a fishing game. That's about as much as I know about it. Still need to get opportunity to play it. Backlog blues, man. Next one, of course, is one I'm very happy to get, and I actually was hunting for this one for a while to get the version I wanted. And that, of course, is Daio Batsu no Mori Controller Pack. And of course, that's Animal Forest or Animal Crossing. And this is a complete version with the control pack, just because I really wanted to get my complete edition for this. And it is absolutely amazing. Worth getting for the collection and just having fun with it. It's astounding how good the first game of the series really is, and I love the box art that they did with it. Here we have G Kyo Powerful Pro Ya Kyo 5. Of course, it's a great baseball game. It really is. It's brutal. I mean, this series just, you have to know your stuff, because this is not an easy series to play. But when I saw one for the Nintendo 64, had to get one, because I actually really do enjoy the series, even though it obliterates me every time I play it. Then, of course, Mario Golf 64. I was just really excited to get the Japanese version, and I have to say the box art is unique. I actually like that, and so I'm really happy to have that one. Still need to try this game from the Japanese version, but I know I'm gonna love it. Here we have Mario Party 64, and I have to say, if you guys are looking to collect a complete in-box copy of Mario 64, it's actually super cheap just to go with the Japanese versions. Oh my gosh. When I was looking for them for my collection, I went ahead and looked it up, and it's like, okay, you can get them for around like $5 to $20, give or take, on how complete it is. But astonishing game, and even the Japanese version is amazing. Of course it is, you know. Next we have 64G Hakin Tamagotchi Mina G Tamagotchi World. This is basically Tamagotchi Mario Party, and it is awesome. I really enjoy what they did with this one, and it is a game that I'm really excited to have back in my collection just because I really enjoyed this one, and my cousins really enjoyed it too back when I had it in my original collection. So definitely worth looking into and worth picking up. Next is two games I'm really happy to have part of my complete in-box collection. That is Pocket Monster Stadium 2 and Pocket Monster Stadium King Jing Crystal version. I know I just saw that I misprinted Pokemon. It's supposed to be Pocket Monster. That's so weird. Huh. Basically, it's what they are. That's Pokemon Stadium 1 and Pokemon Stadium 2 Gold and Silver version. And both of them are a lot of fun, I have to say. They did a good job at adding so much more. At times I think it's a little too much in my opinion, but I haven't played either of the Japanese versions, so I don't know exactly what is different between the US and the Japanese versions, but I do love these and find them a lot of fun. So another ones I just need to get to try them and see if there's anything different about those. Here is Puyo Puyo Sun 64, and this is a really fun version of Puyo Puyo. Basically, the biggest thing is the sun is its own Puyo in it, so you have new pieces like that, and it's as fun as the other games, just a couple new mechanics in there that makes it unique. Then we have Saikyo Habe Shogi. It's a shogi game. I haven't tried it yet, and I'm actually trying to learn how to play shogi. Just I'm really bad. So if I do a 10-minute first impression video of this one, it will be me playing the game and losing quite epically. Yes, I know you guys are all going to be happy about that. Here is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. When I was getting the Pro Skater games back to my collection, Part 2 is just one of those that I wanted to get it for the Nintendo 64. I don't know why I wanted to get it for that particular system first, but I went with that, and I'm really happy to have it for the Nintendo 64 and complete in box. Oh, it's so awesome. The next game is Robot Panko Su 64 Nanasu no Umai no Caramel. And it is the Robopon 64 game. Not bad to what I played of it so far, but I have to say I do enjoy the Game Boy game a tad bit more than the Nintendo 64 version. But still, happy to see that this one actually got a 64 version. My final complete in box game is one that I absolutely had to get complete in box one more time, and that is Wandering Project J2 Kororo no Mirai no Jusete. I probably said that one wrong, but it is basically a point and click adventure about an android, and I actually really love this game. But due to the fact that it's heavy text-based, I wasn't able to beat it before, but now there's guides to help at least be able to enjoy it. It's a really beautiful game. I highly recommend getting it part of the collection. Very sad that it did not get released in the US. Alright, going on to my loose cartridge games. There's going to be a lot more of these ones. First one is 1080 snowboarding. When I wanted to get a hold of games for the Nintendo 64, I really started going after the Japanese versions due to the fact that they were just a lot cheaper to pick up. And this is a game I absolutely fell in love with when it first came out. Got really good at the game. So I decided when I was going to pick it up, I'm going for the Japanese version. So I was very excited to get that. Next is 64 Uzumio, and it is a sumo wrestling game for the Nintendo 64, which is a lot of fun. I'm really happy to have this one. This one is Bakusho Gensai 64 Mezasi Resort U. As far as I understand, it is a board game, if I'm correct. It's one I haven't played yet, so I couldn't really say more than that. Then, of course, we have Baku Bomberman, or Bomberman 64. Same reason I wanted to go with the Japanese version due to the fact I think this is one of those that the price varies in like a $40 range for the two. So, another one of those games that it was so much fun to play and a good one to get for if you haven't tried it yet. Here is Banjo Tooie no Daiboken 2 and Banjo-Kazooie. I don't think I ever got the opportunity to play the second game. I know I had it in my collection before. And then you have the first one, which is an amazing game, but oh my gosh, is it a collectathon. Not the worst rare collectathon ever made for the Nintendo 64. I do have that game coming up a little bit later, but yeah, that sticker is actually how much I paid for it. I found a whole stack of games over at Goodwill, each one $2.99. So I got it for a good price when I was going for that one. Here we have one of my all-time favorite, I guess you could call this one a third-person shmup if you really wanted to, which is Buck Bumble. It is a game where you play as a honeybee with guns, and it is a good little challenge and a lot of fun with some really good music too. One I highly recommend to pick up because it's just so different, and I really would love to see this one come back. Next one is Blast Corps. Oh my gosh, talk about a hard game. Basically, you got this this radioactive truck basically that became a nuke. So you have to ride around in these destructible machines, including a mech, and destroy the cities and towns you're in to make room for that way it doesn't hit and blow up and kill everybody. That's literally what the game's all about, and it's amazing. Highly recommend this one. Cruising USA. Oh, dude, talk about a great racing game. It's really was a good one when it came out. I still think it's good even today, and got it for is part of that stack I was telling you guys about. Next over here is Castlevania Legacy of Darkness. This is the follow-up game to Castlevania 64, and surprisingly this one is expensive at times. I got mine for a good price, luckily. I think it's because it was the blockbuster version, so got it for cheaper, luckily. I haven't really beat this one yet, so I still like the first one a little bit better just because I really haven't gotten into that one. But really happy to have it. Wish I could get myself a complete box version of this one, but yeah, no. Here is Croro Q64, also known as Penny Racers. It's a fun game. It's actually not too bad of a racer at all. They do a good job with it, and I find it to be quite entertaining. Next is Cruising World. That name sometimes always gets you. Honestly, not as good as the first one in my personal opinion, but I think it's just because I had the opportunity to actually play the arcade of the first one, so that's why I think I love the first game, but still worth picking up, and luckily part of that stack for the $2.99. Here is Dance Dance Revolution Disney Dancing Museum. This is a very, very unique game, only because it's the only rhythm-based game from the Nintendo 64. And of course, Japanese only, and yes, it does come with a dance pad. Unfortunately, there's no way I can afford that version of the game, so I have the cartridge at least. I have to still try this one out. I'm hoping that's going to be a lot of fun because it's Dance Dance Revolution. Next is Custom Robo V2. Tried it out, but I think it's just one of those games I just couldn't get into. I'm gonna have to restart the game and see if I can get into it. It's just this particular version of the Custom Robo one just did not catch my fancy, but I'm happy to have it. A Bug's Life. Not the best game on the Nintendo 64 at all. I'll be honest. Happy to have it, but yeah, no, it's not a very good game. But I'd recommend, give it a try. It's an experience. Moving on. Diddy Kong Racing. Another game that when I went to go get another copy of it, went with the Japanese version, which is slightly cheaper, and I like having the Japanese versions of games. So I don't think I've tried this one yet. But if you are looking for a really good racing game, this is one worth checking out. And it is brutal at times. Good luck with this one. This one's a fun one. Doom 64. Man, talk about a good game. This game will find ways to scare the living crap out of you every so often. And it's definitely a good one. It's one that I was able to beat somehow. I don't know how I did that. And then you turn on the cheats and go and beat the game and just destroy it every chance you get. That's the best part about that. But one that I'm really happy that it got re-released. And, it's like, oh, how did I even do this? So, yeah. At least now we can get it on the newer systems. Then, here's the one I was talking about. Donkey Kong 64. I went with the Japanese version. Because, same thing. It's slightly cheaper getting the Japanese version. And I wanted to. This is a platformer, and this is the biggest collectathon on the Nintendo 64. Oh my gosh! If you want to torture yourself and have to collect 100%, that would take you forever, here's the game for you. And if I remember correctly, you cannot use a Game Shark on this, and I think that's why I went for the Japanese version, because it will actually not work after using the Game Shark on this, if I remember correctly. Duke Nukem 64. Another phenomenal first-person shooter game that was so much fun to play. Not easy at all, and then of course you had the multiplayer that let's face it, you could have so much fun in this game. Tripwire hazards everywhere, because you could turn on the cheats and then everybody had, all the weapons possible, and it's like, whatever. Really good game. One of the best Duke Nukems released, in my opinion. It is censored because, it's on Nintendo 64, so the hot babes, well, yes. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. That's why you just play the PC version or, the newer release versions of the Megaton editions. Next one over here is Doraemon Nobita 2-3 Su no Shirai Shikai. It is like Mario 64 is the best way to kind of explain it, And that's about as much as I can really piece together on the storyline. You're just working together with the friends to escape from whatever it is you got mixed up in. It's actually not too bad of a game. I do enjoy this one. Here is Tel Monsters. Now you're probably like, wait, what? Why does that look so familiar? Because that is Quest 64, the worst RPG released to the Nintendo 64. Even though we only had very few RPGs released to it, this one is the worst ever made. And yes, I actually beat this game somehow. Yeah, but like, okay, I have to get this once more, and I wanted to get the Japanese version. That way, when I show people, they'll be like, "Oh, I'd never heard of this game." It's like, you've heard of this game. So yeah. Next is Duke Nukem 0 Hour. I know I played it, but I don't remember exactly what's going on. If I remember, it's nuclear winter or something. It's a third person, I believe, too. So it's one of those I'm just gonna have to replay just to reacquaint myself with it. Extreme G and Extreme G2. These racing games are so much fun. They are a really good high speed, kill the other racers type racing, and they have a really good soundtrack in it, and it was a lot of fun to play. These are definitely some that are really good. And if I remember correctly, these are exclusive to Nintendo 64 before they made the third game, which came out for the Xbox and PlayStation 2. And I believe GameCube got one as well. But yeah, if you're looking for a good one, this one is definitely worth looking into, because it really is a lot of fun. F-Zero X. Here is a game we wish we could get more of, but Nintendo, for whatever reason, only wants to give us Captain Falcon. It's just not right. So, definitely one worth getting. This is a Japanese version, and it was so much fun to replay this game. Oh, it's good. And of course, you're gonna hear that a lot because there's a lot of great 64 games that came out. So, yeah. Then you have Flying Dragon. It is a fighting RPG. It's okay, but I've had better. Still worth giving it a try just because it was unique at the time. So that's what I can really say about it. Yeah. GoldenEye 007. Would you expect me not to have this game in the collection? This one, there's so many stories I could make a whole video about, just the stories and how much fun I had with this game. So just pick it up if you have a Nintendo 64. You're gonna love it. Next one is Ganbare Gomen Nyo Momoyama Bakufu no Odori. It is an action RPG, if I remember correctly, platformer. I don't know if I've actually played it. I do know there is an English version of the game, but it was cheaper just buying the Japanese one, so it's one of those I have to give it a try. Hoshi no Kirby 64, of course Kirby 64, the Crystal Star I think it's called in English, is a really good platformer from the Kirby series. This one is a lot of fun. Got the ability mixing in it, so you can really get some cool weapons in here. Haven't beaten it yet, but one to definitely pick up for the Nintendo 64 Collection. Then here we have Hey You Pikachu. This game is so stupid, but it's so much fun. You use the adapter I showed you guys, and then you get to talk to Pikachu. Just don't mention Sega or PlayStation due to the fact that Pikachu doesn't like those systems. And you basically, you talk to Pikachu, and if you're lucky and your accent isn't too thick, he might actually understand you. about as good as a dog would understand you at times. Good luck with this game. It's fun, but it's so cheesy, and he barely ever understands you. Human Grand Prix New Generation. And that's what it is. It's an F1 Formula, basically racing game. Have not tried it, I don't think. Sometimes I lose track of which ones I've tried. But yeah, I think it's a weird name for the Japanese one, when I think the US was just called F1 Formula Racing. Then, one of the best third-person shooters on the system, Jet Force Gemini. Rare really did a good job with this one. Definitely not easy to complete the game. You actually have to go and complete the game. Then when you finally get to a certain part, you have to go back and replay all the levels to find all of the hidden things to unlock the true ending. It's a doozy. This one will definitely be fun to do if you like challenging games. Knockout Kings 2000, part of the games I got part of that stack from Goodwill. It's a decent boxing game. Definitely gotta learn how to play, because this game does not hold your hand at all. Good luck. Then we have Gensai Game 64, or the Game of Life. Haven't played this one yet, but I absolutely love this series, so whenever I come across one, I always pick it up, especially when it's a good price. Here we have Mario Kart 64, and the reason I have the Japanese version is because I originally had the regular or the US version along with a couple of the other games I had, and what I did was my manager at work was trying to get a hold of Mario 64, Mario Party, and a couple other games, and so what I did was I went online to search for them. I bought the Japanese versions, which were way cheaper, and gave them my US version. That way he could have a good Christmas present for his son. This game is amazing, and I'm really happy also because it's all the uncensored version, so you actually get to see the original version of the game, since they had to censor a ton of things out of the US version. So that's why it's also worth having the Japanese version. Next one is Magical Tetris Challenge. This game is so much fun. I actually have the PlayStation version and the Nintendo 64 version. Basically, it's Tetris, but with Disney characters, and it's basically Battle Tetris. And believe me, there's a lot of garbage that you can activate and attack your opponent with, and then they have super mega pieces, which just, oh, it's brutal. Worth getting if you're looking for a good Tetris game to play. Highly recommend this one. Here we have Mario Party 2 and 3. These games are amazing. They did a great job of figuring out how they can take the first game and make it better, and I think they achieved that. I haven't played either of the Japanese versions of these games, but definitely ones looking into, because they are so much fun. Here is Mario Tennis, another game that came in my little pile of games. It's actually a really good game. I do prefer the Virtual Boy version over this one, just because there's just something about that makes it so much fun to play. But they did a good job of bringing it to the Nintendo 64. Over here is Mario Story. This is Paper Mario, and I was really happy to get a copy of this. This is a good game, and this is another one of those that I can't remember exactly how much it was to get the US version, but I went with the Japanese version due to the fact that it was definitely a couple of $20, cheaper, just to have the game, so why not? Here is honestly the best side-scrolling platformer on the system, Mischief Makers. If you are looking for a fun game, but you also have to make sure you're collecting all of the hidden gems everywhere to unlock the final level. This one will challenge you to no end. This is just, it's amazing. Next we have Mickey No Racing Challenge USA. Haven't played it yet, so obviously have no idea. It's basically, I think it's Mario Kart, or it's going to just be a full racing game without power-ups. I'm not sure about that one. Here is Nintendo All-Stars Dairantyo Smash Brothers. This is definitely another one of the games I did for my manager, and holy freaking crap, a lot cheaper in Japanese, so I was more than happy to have the Japanese version for this game. I don't have to say much more about the game. It's Smash Brothers. It's amazing. Next is Nightmare Creatures, which is also part of that stack of games I got for a good price. This game, I'm surprised it even came out to Nintendo 64, to be honest. It's really, really good, but it's brutal. I mean, it's one of those games where you have to play to see what I mean by that. It's not the best of games, but it's still one of the best of games to play. It's one of those. So one I would recommend getting a hold of and just enjoying it. Here is Nusi Shuri 64. It is a fishing game, I think. That's about as much as I know about it. Haven't played it yet. The other one right here is Onigai Monsters. I think it's a monster collecting RPG. I could be wrong on that. I have not played that one either. So here's two more titles I have to try out and see what the games are all about. Perfect Dark. A game that basically destroyed GoldenEye in my opinion. GoldenEye is still an amazing game, but there's so much more you can do in Perfect Dark that just added a whole new level of multiplayer. And the game itself, man, good game. Definitely one worth picking up and worth playing. Here we have PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64. If I remember correctly, this one's supposed to be a fighting game featuring chibi forms of Ultraman. I haven't played it yet, so I don't actually know how the game plays or if it actually is a fighting game. Pilot Wing 64. This is a good launch title. It was one of those that nobody was really expecting them to do another Pilot Wings, but I think it was a good time to bring it back, and then they did a marvelous job with it. Good game, definitely another one worth checking out. Man, there's a lot of those in this list. Can't help it. Here is Pikachu Genkai Dechu. Hey you Pikachu. And like I said, I went to try this out. You cannot use the US adapter, so it does not work unless you actually get a Japanese adapter. Pocket Monster Stadium. This game is amazing. It really, all it is just the stadium part. They don't have any mini games in it. You can at least play your Pocket Monster games on the bigger screen with it. But I think the thing I love about this was they focus strictly on the stadium. And the announcer is so awesome in the Japanese version. It's just so much fun to play this game. If you guys can get a hold of it, I highly recommend this one. It's unique because of it only being the stadium without the mini games. Then we have Pocket Monster Snap. This is a lot of fun. I love Pokemon Snap, and getting the Japanese version was one that I just needed to do because I want to have all the Japanese Pokemon games, so I had to pick it up, and it was fun just giving it another try. San Francisco Rush 2049. Now there's a really fun racing game. There's just something about the Rush series that you have to experience, so it's a series that really shines on the Nintendo 64 to where even the PlayStation version that we got of one of the games just isn't as good. It's one of those weird moments where the 64 version just had a special thing about it. So it's one that is definitely a good one on the Nintendo 64. Here is Pokemon Puzzle League. And this is basically Tetris Attack or Panel-J-Poon. And it was so well done that it was a brand new game. Literally, that's how it felt like when they did this. You basically are doing your Puzzle League gaming or Tetris Attack, and you have your matches of 3 Pokemon versus 3 Pokemon, and each character you choose has a different type of Pokemon in it. And man, I think the longest match I ever had was like an hour and 10 minutes or something before the game finally just said, screw it, one of you guys lose. Boom. And one of us lost because the game just, it couldn't handle it anymore. So definitely one game worth picking up. I do need to get my Japanese version because I think it's the last Japanese Pokemon game I need to get for the Nintendo 64. Of course, here is Pokemon Snap. So many great memories playing that game. I unlocked everything, got pictures of every single Pokemon in the game, brought it down to my local Blockbuster, paid the money to have all my pictures printed out. Oh, such a great adventure. That's why I'm happy to see that we're getting finally a new game that will hopefully meet our expectations of other photographer games and just blow the rest of them out of the water. So hopefully. Here is Shin Nippon Pro Wrestling Taokun Road Brave Spirits. It's a wrestling game. I can't remember if I actually played this. I think I have, but it was so not as good as I was hoping it to be that I just don't remember. Because there's the best wrestling game from Japan that I played was Virtual Wrestling 64, I think, and it just was good. This one, I don't remember why I don't like this one. I'd have to watch the video again, but it's a wrestling game. That's as much as I could really say because I didn't really enjoy it. San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing and Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA. I'm happy to have all 3 games part of this series for the Nintendo 64, and honestly the first game is actually the best out of the 3. They did a marvelous job at, all 3 games are just fantastic. Part 2 is really good, but it's the first game that really shines the best in my personal opinion. And I think that 2049 is the next best one, and then you have part 2. Just, I don't know why, but it's just not as good as it's the middle child that you just like, oh hi, and it really feels like that. It's the weirdest thing, but both games are definitely a good play. So give all 3 a try. That's what I'd say with them. Star Fox 64. This is the Japanese version. Another one of those I was really excited to get a hold of just because I wanted to see what the Japanese version had, and I don't really know if there's any major differences between the two. I think just Falco might be a little bit more foul-mouthed or something, but I was happy to see that the game played just as good, and I was very excited. Now here's a bizarre one. SimCity 2000. This is a 64 game, and it plays just as good as the PlayStation version and any of the other 2000 releases that came out. And when I had the opportunity to get this, I had to, because SimCity 2000 is one of those games that I absolutely love. Don't know why, and I had to get it for the Nintendo 64, and I have it now. I just think it's weird that this game of all games that it was still doing good in the United States did not come out to the US on the Nintendo 64. It was the weirdest thing. So when I saw it, how to grab it. And I think this is one of the games that does allow you to link up with the Nintendo 64 DD to add more features into the game. I could be wrong on that, but I think you can. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Now there's a good game, and that was part of the $2.99 games I got from Goodwill. I think they did a good job on this racing game, and I'm really happy to say that this one did come back to the newer systems, and they're even making a new game, or a new game that did come out. I'm just waiting for my physical copy to be finally shipped off to me. Yay! And it's good. It's one worth playing. Then of course, Star Fox 64. This Player's Choice Edition. I had to get both versions because it's just that good of a game, so that way I have the US version and the Japanese version, because it's one worth playing on the 64. Super B Daman Battle Phoenix 64. I have no idea. I picked it up because it looked awesome, and I have yet to try it, so there's that. And then of course, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Oh, it's one of the few games I've actually been able to beat it on all difficulties and unlock everything. This game drove me crazy. Oh my gosh, that was a hard game. Totally worth doing though. The only major difference between this and the other version of the game, which was PC, was they didn't have all of the... They had kind of like a comic sequence in the other version, and that's like the major difference between the two. But definitely a good game. I can't talk enough about how good of a Star Wars game it is. It's personally one of my favorite Star Wars games to be released, and I really wish they would remake this game, because that would be just so amazing. Super Robot Tyson 64. A series that I've been collecting, and when I saw there was a 64 version, I had to pick it up, and I'm happy to say it plays as good as all of the other versions you can get a hold of. They don't hold back on this version, so they did a good job at representing the 64 and making sure that the fans didn't get gypped on this version one bit. Basically, it's a tactical base RPG, but you get to play as multiple mechs from multiple animes. I mean, it's astounding. Next over here is Super Robot Spirits, which is from the same series, but instead of it being a tactical RPG, it's a fighting game. So you actually get to have a 2.5 fighting game with different mechs from animes, and it's actually really fun. I didn't know all of the mechs, as I don't from a lot of these, but it was definitely fun to see, what you can do, and a good fighter. I would have liked to see more of these, to be honest. Tetrisphere. Now, how can you make Tetris harder? I know, let's have a sphere that you basically are playing Tetris with to get to the middle of the sphere. Brilliant idea. Works really good, and it is a unique one due to the fact that, as far as I remember, there was no other Tetrisphere really made after this, sadly. So, one worth trying out because it's a unique puzzle game with the Tetris series. And yes, as you can see, I have the evil one, Superman 64, which, yes, it was part of that stack of games, so I did pay $2.99 for it. I thought it was worth it because I wanted a copy of this game, and I have been happy ever since to know the dreadful feeling of how bad this game really is. And yes, it was worth trying out because of the experience. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. The first game is just amazing because they were able to show what you can do. The music was beautiful, controls were really good, you had a lot of fun. But then they decided, hey, we could do this better. Let's make part 2. Let's go full gore. Let's go humongous levels. Add in some multiplayer, and let's make this game practically impossible to beat. That's exactly what Turok 2 is. So it was one that they were able to really change the outlook of what Turok 1 was, but they focused a little bit more on like the comic books of how he was going into different realms and everything a little bit better. And you're looking at anywhere from 30 to an hour long levels because of how difficult some of the levels could be. So both worth playing. Get ready for a good challenge. Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion and Turok Rage Wars. Turok 3 was unique because Turok actually dies. So you can play as his brother or sister, so you actually get to choose between, which way you want to go. And as far as I remember, I think this was one of the first games to show a finger that was separate from the hand in the animation. In my opinion, they did an amazing job on it, but it wasn't the best Turok game made for the Nintendo 64. I didn't like it as much as Part 2 and 1. So, definitely worth playing, but this one is the hardest of all of them, to be honest. Then, Rage Wars. Rage Wars is basically Turok 2. They took the multiplayer and made it into like a Quake Arena style version of the game. Worked perfectly, in my opinion. I thought it was a great idea because that was a huge part of what you did in Turok 2 is you went to the multiplayer. So why not make a multiplayer only cartridge with some storyline in there too to have fun? And so I think this one's definitely worth picking up because that's all it really is. And there was a couple things they changed in it and added into it to make it, what it was. So definitely one worth giving a try because I think it's really good. Wave Race 64 Kawasaki Jet Ski Rumble Pack version. Basically, it's Wave Race 64, but with the Rumble Pack added in. I have not been able to play this game yet because I don't have a Rumble Pack since they're surprisingly a little bit expensive, more than what I'm willing to pay for yet. But that's what it is. They went back and added all that feature in, and only released it in Japan for whatever reason. Weirdest thing ever. Then there's this game. Uchana-chan no Hono no Challenger Doryo Ira Bo. Basically, this is the old games that you would have to run a steel or iron bar through a maze of metal, and then if you touch the sides, it would buzz at you telling you that you suck. Well, somebody decided to make a game about that, and there is a huge top score community for this game. It is the absolute hardest Nintendo 64 game I own. Good luck, goodbye. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's that evil and 100% worth getting. Wipeout 64. In my opinion, this is the worst Wipeout game made. I don't know what happened when they were making this, but compared to all of the other versions of Wipeout, it really is the worst version of the game. In the entire series, this is the worst version. I don't know why, but there's something about it that just does not work on the Nintendo 64, and that's the best way to describe it. It's still a good game, but there's just something about it not very good. Then Wheel of Fortune. It's actually a decent Wheel of Fortune, and that's about as much as I can really say. It's Wheel of Fortune, but a good one. WWF WrestleMania 2000 and WWF No Mercy. Oh, good memories from both these games. No Mercy personally is the best one they made on the system, but I mean when it came down to it, oh, so much fun. We had epic adventures just making characters, putting them against each other, and I mean that right there would be our weekend. We would spend, give each other time during the week to make our characters, and then we'd put them against each other. That's just what you did. So both games, they're a must-have for the system, but No Mercy is the ultimate one to have because they refine the game so well that it is the best wrestling game for the system in my opinion. Here we have Yoshi's Story. Yeah, it was part of the Goodwill pack I was able to get, but I had to pick up the Japanese version because I wanted both versions. And I know you guys are having the same problem I'm having. The music's already stuck in your head. This is just, it's a lovely platformer. You have so much fun. It can get really difficult really fast, and that's all I can. There's so much I can say about this game. So play it, own it, enjoy it. Zelda no Daisetsu Toki no Ocarina. Yes, I wanted the Japanese version before any other version, also because it was a lot cheaper to buy a Japanese version, and it's one of the versions I haven't beat yet, so I went with this. Do I really need to say any more about this game? It is a classic, and as long as you have a version of it, it's worth playing. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I had in my collection. I've been having a lot of fun getting a hold of different games, trying out the various versions of, the Japanese versus the English version, seeing what there is, and just having fun getting games in general. Because sometimes you can get some really wacky ones, you get some extremely hard ones, or you can get some really nice, good ones that are going to give you a good challenge, but they're fair. And other ones are just going to basically destroy your soul and make you cry over in the corner. Yeah. There's those ones too. So definitely a system worth collecting for. I personally feel that Nintendo needs to do a lot more to bring the Nintendo 64 games back. So here's looking that hopefully there'll be something more than just their online games that they keep on bringing out, but bring out some of the more unique ones, because there's a lot of really good ones that they just overlooked in my opinion and kind of skipped over just to bring out the most popular ones. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below about any games I should definitely look for, and if there's any questions I'll definitely answer to the best of my ability. Thank you guys for watching. This is T-Secure saying ciao and sayonara.